Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Momentarily, I'm going to share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started.
It's great to see so many people who heard about us through early intervention training. We love to have EI folks in our program, so thank you all for being here. It looks like a lot of referrals from alumni as well, which is always really nice to hear too.
I'm going to hand this off to Chanel, who's going to go ahead and get us started.
Thank you, Amy. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for being here tonight. For those of you joining now, thank you once again. Thank you to those that have also shared with us how you learned a little bit about Erikson. It's always great to hear. We're gonna go ahead and get the program started. So I want to take the time to take you through our agenda for this evening. All right, so thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend the session this evening. We will spend the first portion of the presentation talking to you a little bit about Erikson, our infant and early childhood mental health certificate program, application process, scholarships and deadlines, and student services. And afterwards, we will open it up for Q&A. So I hope you're all ready to answer, to get your questions answered. So I hope you have your list ready. So now I'm gonna pass it over to my colleague, Amy, who will be telling you a little bit about Erikson.
Amy, you're muted.
Happens to the best of us.
Thank you. All right. So let me start back over. Erikson Institute has been founded by 4 people. We have a child psychologist, Maria Pierce, social worker, Lorraine Wallach, an educator and activist, Barbara Taylor Bowman, and businessman and philanthropist, Irving B. Harris. They recognize the need for professionals who work with young children and families to understand child development. And of course, we all know the promise that the first years of life hold for the rest of their life as well. So with that, Erikson Institute was founded in 1966. We do our best to have people, knowledge, and research meet together, and we use those programs to inform one another. And we're committed today, as we were in 1966, to the pursuit of justice as advocates for an inclusive teaching and caring and righting the wrongs of the past for our children. You'll notice in this photo, there's 3 of our founders, one of which is Barbara. She just turned 94 in October. And if you do start with the program, you may in fact learn from her and meet her as she continues to teach some classes, and is definitely present at some of our events and meetings. One of the other things that we think about about Erikson is who we're looking for. And if you have these 2 things, I think you belong here with us: intellectual curiosity and a commitment to children and families. We work together as a collaborative effort. We use creative thinking. We apply evidence-based knowledge to make lasting change. And we want to empower our professionals that work with children and families. So we serve the students we work with, serve the communities they live in, and they serve the children and families that live in those communities too, so that they can achieve their optimal educational, social, emotional, and physical well-being. And we demonstrate our community not only with our students as they go into the community, but also within our community and our structures itself as a graduate school. And with that, I think we have some team members from our student services and dean of students office that can tell us a little bit more. Oh, I jumped the gun. I'm actually handing it over to Chanel to tell us a little bit about the application process, and then we'll talk about some of our student services.
Thank you, Amy. Yes, so let's talk a little bit about the application process and requirements. Obviously, it's great that you're all here and that you are interested in this particular program. So in terms of our application requirements, we required a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution of higher education with a minimum grade point average of 2.75 on a 4.0 scale, a current resume, an essay. In general, our requirements are 2 essays for infant and early childhood, the early childhood mental health certificate program, 1 professional academic letter of recommendation, and a copy of your official or unofficial transcripts of all previous colleges and universities where you've completed work of 30 credits or more of your coursework. Please note that official transcripts will be required once you accept the offer of admissions to Erikson as well. But we do accept those unofficial transcripts for the review purposes. If English is not your first language, then we do also require official test of English as foreign language, the TOEFL, or the International English Language Testing System, IELTS. Obviously, that is if applicable. We're obviously more than happy to answer any questions you might have about the process. And please know that the GRE is not required. And with that, I will pass it over to our colleagues in student services who will tell you a little bit more about the support services that we have at Erikson to ensure that you have a successful time.
There's some technical difficulties, so bear with us. So our student services team is also present right now with career fair that's going on.
Amy, I can take this one if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be great if you could get us started. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Sarah Martinez. I'm the director of the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Certificate Program, and it's so nice to welcome you all this evening. So to tell you a little bit about the supports that are available for students at Erikson, our primary support area for students is the Dean of Students offices. Within that office, we have our Academic Success Center, which offers tutoring and writing supports for students who are struggling in any way academically. And those services are available to all students throughout the program. We also offer disability services. If you have an identified disability and require any sort of accommodations, we work with you closely to create a plan that supports you in your ability to learn and grow at Erikson. Our career services office works with you upon graduation to think about career options and gathers information about local employers that often share their information with us at Erikson because employers really like to hire Erikson grads. We also have our Office of Student Experience and Support. They do all kinds of fun connecting activities, as well as activities to support your learning and growth while you're at Erikson. The distance learning piece there in the middle of the slide is very much about our online learning supports. Our online learning platform is Canvas. Some of you may be familiar with that as it's pretty widely used in both undergraduate and graduate programs. Canvas is available to you at all times. In programs like the Infant Mental Health Certificate Program, a lot of what we do is asynchronous, meaning you can access it at any time. So if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you think, I can't sleep, I'm going to go watch a module, it's right there available to you in the moment. We have 24/7 support for Canvas. Our distance learning team helps you anytime you have a computer glitch or need, and with support from Canvas itself and from our distance learning team. Erikson's library is staffed with some of the most amazing librarians I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Our librarians will work with those of you who are in online programs. Virtually, a lot of our materials are available in electronic form, and they will help you to access electronic versions of whatever materials you may need. You are always welcome if you're in the Chicago area to come on campus, study in the library. It's absolutely beautiful and a wonderful learning environment. And you can access any one of Erikson's thousands and thousands of books on child development and related topics. If there's a book that you need that's only available in a hard copy form and you are an online student, our librarians will mail that book to you so that you can have access to it. They also help with things like test forms for assessment courses. Erikson has several test kits available. So if you're learning a new assessment, you can go into the library and check out that kit, get the opportunity to interact with all of the materials, and have that as a support that's ready there for you. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Ashley Curry, our Dean of Students.
Thank you, Sarah. And I would like to say, Sarah, I'd like to recruit you to our Dean of Students office. I think you did a beautiful job of going through all those supports. I'm sorry I showed up a few minutes late, everyone. I am actually in the middle of a career fair right now. That's one of the things that we do in the Dean of Students office is we have career services, and tonight is our career fair. So we have 60 students here right now, going along to about 60 employers, going from table to table. The students are getting their headshots. So they're getting pictures for graduation. And then we're also having a reception with pizza and wine. So I apologize for being late, but it was for a good reason. So anyway, this is our team here in the Dean of Students office. We have myself. We have our Director of Academic Support, Advising and Disability Services, Stripe Gandera. We have Natalie Dowdell, who is actually an Erikson alum, and she is our academic advisor. We have Whitney Mittens, who is our Director of Student Experience and Support. And then the three people at the bottom are Maggie Brett, Erica Avila, and Alyssa Maestre. And they all work on our field education team as well as our career services team. And so we have a fabulous group of people who are all dedicated to really enhancing your student experience while you're at Erikson. We like to think of you as a student in a holistic fashion. We know you're not just a student, you're a human being in the world, and we like to think of you like that. So we try to build supports around you in that way. So we think of kind of three big buckets. We think of academic supports, we think of social supports, and we think of emotional supports. And so that's sort of our philosophy and how we move forward in terms of enhancing the student experience. And so we focus on your experience and what you all need. We have a diverse student body, and we want to try to meet the needs of all of our students. We want to be student-centered. Again, I already said we take a holistic approach to wellness and well-being, thinking about academic, social, and emotional. We want to try to be, we want you to feel included and affirmed and feel welcomed. We want you to have a sense of belonging and a sense of community. So we're always thinking about ways to enhance that. And we also try to communicate with you as regularly and as transparently as possible. So we have a student intranet, which you'll learn about and be able to peruse once you become a student. It has all of we have about 17-ish people related to our student services / student affairs department, and they all do different tasks and they all help support your learning community in different ways. And we also, just as of this semester, have a Dean of Students office newsletter. And I should probably back up a little bit. So I am the Dean of Students. My name is Ashley Curry. I have been in this position just since last summer. I'm 9 months basically in the position. And before that, I spent 8 years in our social work program. So I was hired when we first launched an on-campus social work program at Erikson. And then I helped to launch our online social work program. And then just last summer, when this position became available, I applied for it, and here I am. And so I just wanted to kind of give you that, that background as well. And so I work closely with all of our students as well as all of our faculty to make sure we enhance your experience. And again, you saw all the people on our team. We really all work together to try to help make sure you have a good experience. Okay, next slide, please. And then this is Whitney Mittens. She was not able to join us tonight, but she is our Director of Student Experience and Support. She works in our online programs as well as our on-campus programs. So for our right now, we have about half of our students online and about half of our students on campus. And so for our online students, we try to make an intentional effort to build community. And so we have both Whitney Mittens and another colleague doing monthly, well, actually bi-monthly, it's twice a month, community building. We call them virtual student lounges, because if you were here at Erikson, we have a physical student lounge with couches, and there's a chance to talk among yourselves and build relationships with both your peers as well as staff and faculty. And so we try to create that experience online twice a month. And so Whitney's one of the people who facilitate that, as well as someone else you saw a couple slides back. Her name is Alyssa Maestre. And then Whitney also works on campus to facilitate our online or our on-campus programs. So we also have not virtual student lounge meetups, but we have on campus in the student lounge meetups where we do, sometimes it'll just be getting together to talk and discuss different things and kind of hang out. Sometimes the last one we did was focused on self-care. The one before that, we had kind of game nights. And so it really, we get our ideas not from ourselves. We're not going to decide what you want. We ask you what you want, and then we try to deliver. And so that's really kind of the philosophy that we use. And so we're in that. We also have some student groups that we already have kind of in. We have a Gender Sexuality Alliance, we have a Doctoral Student Association, we have a student committee, and we're in the process of really trying to develop affinity groups for our students and other student groups that the things that you want to be involved on, whether it's on campus or on campus or online, we want to try to be able to do that for you. And so that's part of what we do.
Thanks, Ashley.
Oh, sure. You're welcome. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm sorry to have to leave again, but feel free to reach out if any of you, my email is acurry@erikson.edu. I'm happy to talk to any of you about your experience. If you have any questions, I'm sorry I won't be able to stay and answer them, but I'm happy to answer them offline. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
So many thanks to Ashley. I'm wondering if we can have Sarah speak a little bit about something that is core to us, and that's reflective practice.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that. At Erikson, we consider that we have 3 pillars. One is practice, one is knowledge, and the third is reflection. And you'll hear the word reflection a lot in your time at Erikson because we believe that it is vital to our professional experience. Reflective practice supports us in developing a professional identity, creates a relationship for learning when we work together with a reflective supervisor, supports us in building our own knowledge base and our own capacity for doing this work, and helps us to build connections with infants, young children, and families in ways that are really meaningful and support what we in infant mental health call the parallel process, meaning what we take in ourselves, we integrate into the way that we think about the work and about relationships, and allows us to be able to give that to the families that we serve. We support the parents that are caring for the children. The parents are better equipped to be fully present and engaged with their children when they have somebody who comes alongside them and supports them in their relationship with their child. And then they are able to provide that environment for the child that they are parenting in this moment. And so everything that we do at Erikson Institute is undergirded with this idea of reflective practice in the work. And I can try and take this one. Finance is not my
I think-
area. Our
No, that's
finance
okay.
person is ill this evening.
I think Chanel and I can help cover these slides with Monique being out ill. So
Do you want me to start, Amy?
sure,
And
that'd be
then
great.
maybe
Thanks,
you
Chanel.
can walk us through the grant portion afterwards. So at Erikson, our financial aid team can help you find the funding and support to achieve your degree. We know that access to premier education shouldn't depend on your financial situation. That's why we offer multiple pathways to finance your degree or certificate program. So we'll walk you through some of those options. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the grants first, and then we'll walk you through some of the scholarships and other options as well. So just so you know, our financial aid team is always available. Unfortunately, our representative was not able to be here, but she's awesome. Her name is Monique. If you ever have any questions during your application process to Erikson, she'll be more than happy to answer a specific question. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Amy, and then I'll be talking a little bit about other scholarship opportunities.
Thanks, Chanel. So we're really excited to tell you that we have a grant for this summer and this fall. The grant's available to new students entering the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Certificate Program. It is based on you being an Illinois resident with a minimum of 3 years of experience. This grant is really aimed at diversifying the workforce, and we want to reflect the communities that you will in turn be working in. So there may be preference given based on being either historically or presently marginalized communities, but we do invite all people to apply for the grant if they are Illinois residents. We're also, as this is an online certificate, open to any resident in Illinois, and particularly central and southern Illinois, where there may be a deeper need for people with this credential. We're also looking to diversify the opportunity here there. This grant is really exciting for us to say because it covers full tuition and student service fees. Those who earn the grant will be responsible for books. That is the one cost that will be expected to be covered by you as students. And we're estimating that at $200 to $350 across the program. So that's the 2-year program across 2 years. All right. That's the exciting news, big news. But in case you don't qualify for that, and because this is a limited number of grants, we also offer a grant for the fall. This is typically when we offer the certificate program, and it's valued at 25% of the tuition. So not to leave anyone behind, we also have some typical Erikson Institute aid, and this is where Chanel's going to pop back in.
Yes. So obviously you have the grants available, but we also have scholarships available. So we offer 2 pathways to scholarships, from leadership scholarships, which are merit-based, to our affordability scholarships, which are need-based. So new students will qualify for scholarships value up to 45% of program tuition. Obviously, other requirements and criteria may apply as well. We do encourage students to go through the application process early to be able to then submit their application for those scholarships as well, and especially when it comes to the leadership scholarship, which you will have to submit an application, and I'll talk a little bit about that afterwards, where with the affordability scholarship, you'll have to submit your FAFSA. And also remember that these scholarships can vary, but are all awarded across the entirety of your program length. And there are obviously some continuing requirements to make sure that you can maintain that scholarship. Now I'll share a little bit more detail about the 2 types of scholarships. All right, so as I said before, the new students could qualify for scholarships value up to 45% of program tuition. Earning a leadership scholarship will be valued up to 20% of your degree tuition and are open to US and international students. These are merit-based scholarships with an application that includes one essay. So again, we always encourage students to submit their application for admissions early on, so you're able to get that admissions decision. Once you get admitted to the program, then you'll be able to apply for the scholarship. Now, when it comes to the affordability scholarship, those are valued up to 25% of your program tuition and are open to US citizens and legal residents. Earning this scholarship is based on your demonstrated financial need, and that simply means that you will need to complete the FAFSA. So you might be asking, what is the FAFSA? Or you might not remember what's the FAFSA. So let's talk a little bit about the financial aid application process. So when you can complete the FAFSA while you are applying to Erikson, you do not have to wait to receive your admissions decision, which is different from the leadership scholarship. And just remember that additional scholarships application may apply when it comes to the leadership scholarship. The Erikson Leadership Scholarship is reviewed by a committee. August 4th is the leadership award deadline, and award letters are usually emailed within 7 business days of being admitted. But I do know that if Monique was here today, she will tell you she turns it over much quicker than 7 business days. And just as a reminder that you will have to complete the FAFSA annually. So a little bit more about the free application for federal student aid, which is the FAFSA. Again, you will have to submit it for most scholarships. You can apply it at fafsa.gov. It is free, so just make sure that you go to the correct website to apply for the FAFSA. If you are looking for a summer 2023 start, you will have to submit your 2022-2023 FAFSA, and for fall 2023, that we will be looking at the 2023-2024. As I mentioned already, FAFSA is required for each year of attendance. And here we have our code as well, which I'm sure you might not remember right now, but we will be sharing the recording of this meeting. And obviously you can find it on our website as well. And as I mentioned earlier, Monique will be more than happy, or anyone else in our financial aid team, more than happy to answer any of your questions. So with that, let's go and hand it over to our director, Sarah Martinez, who will talk to us a little bit more about the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Certificate Program, which is why you're all here.
Hi again, everybody. It's really a pleasure to get to talk to you about this program. I know a lot of you are here because you heard about our amazing grant opportunity, and I just want to give a shout out to the Governor's Office of Early Childhood, because that's where this funding has come from. We have a governor's office that really understands and values the importance of early childhood and infant mental health, and they have really shown us that by supporting 40 full scholarships for this program. So we're going to take a cohort of 20 this summer. So that cohort will begin May 12th, and a cohort of 20 in the fall. So let me tell you a little bit about the program. The program is completely online. It's a combination of synchronous courses and asynchronous courses. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this educational lingo, asynchronous courses are ones that you are watching online. You're watching a narrated PowerPoint, a video, doing an online activity, reading books, chapters, articles, that sort of thing, through Erikson's online portal to our library, right there on your computer on your own time. All of our courses also have a synchronous component. So you're meeting in real time with the members of your cohort, building connections with each other and with faculty in real time, getting the opportunity to have discussion around the course material, to ask questions, to engage in online activities. And what we hear from our students is that that's a very rich experience. This is a very relationship-based field, infant mental health. And so we work really hard to make sure that we have relationships with each other, that we as faculty are there for you, we're connected to you, we know you deeply, we have a sense of who you are and what your needs are, and we want you to know that about us as well. The other thing that's amazingly cool about this program is it's for experienced professionals. Everybody who comes has to have some experience working in some aspect of this field. And they're bringing that experience to the discussions. And I think I learn as much from the students in this program as they ever do from me. We have some, amazing specializations that our students bring, and there's a real richness in the interaction, in the online discussion boards, and in the Zoom room discussions that we have. So it's really quite an exciting experience to have those synchronous courses as well as the asynchronous courses. So the program is part-time. The most credit hours you'll ever have in any one semester is 5. There's a total of 18 credit hours that you complete over a 2 academic year program with some summer courses in between. Typically, this program has only started in the fall, and that's probably, for those of you who are familiar with the program, what you've heard about. But because of this generous grant from the governor's office, we're able to start an additional cohort, which is going to be this new summer cohort. And I really encourage those of you who are wanting to apply and receive this grant funding, apply for that summer cohort. We've got quite a few applications coming in already, and the majority of them are for the fall, I think, because that's mostly what people are familiar with. But if you want a better shot at one of those amazing scholarships, think about that summer cohort as well. And then you finish a whole semester earlier. All right, Amy, you want to advance to the next one? Thank you. So this is the program plan, and you'll see here we have what it looks like if you start in the summer and then the fall term as well. But just to kind of walk you through what your coursework looks like, your first class is called Foundations of Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health. We go everything from the very beginning of the field with Selma Freiberg, the mother of infant and early childhood mental health, on up through the most current research and empirically validated and evidence-based programming in infant and early childhood mental health. We take a look at consultation and what that looks like in this field and kind of cover everything in between. Then this is, I think, one of the coolest parts of our program. You have a course called Infant Observation, which is a year-long course. Whoops. In Infant Observation, we ask you to find a family who's due to have a baby right around the time the classes begin. So for the summer cohort, sometime in May or June. And you will work with that family for the entire first 2 semesters of the time you're in the program, observing them in their home as they go about the process of bringing a new child into their family, learning about who that baby is, and developing that attachment relationship with their baby. Now, pre-COVID, this happened in person with students going into the family's home. Because we're still in this kind of dicey place with COVID, for sure for our summer cohort, those observations will be done virtually, and most likely for the fall as well. If there's some miraculous healing of COVID, we may go back to being in person in the fall. But it's you building a connection with a family and watching and learning from this family. And for a lot of us, that's a really different experience because we're used to being in the role of the intervener, holding the knowledge, coming in and helping. In this role, we are learning from the family. We're watching and developing our observation skills. And what students tell us is that this is one of the most transformative experiences that they have in the program. And we're listening to ourselves, what's being evoked in us as we're watching this relationship unfold and learning and growing through this process. So, and that class continues throughout the fall term as well. Then in your second semester, you have a course that we call Infant and Early Childhood Developmental Intervention. This is an in-depth class in the DIR model, Developmental Individual Difference Relationship-Based Intervention, which is why we call it DIR, because it's kind of a mouthful. You may also know it as floor time, based on the work of Stanley Greenspan and Sarita Weeder. It's an intensive approach to intervention with infants and young children that supports the child's development along with the family. One of the really cool things about this is we've worked directly with the International Council on Development and Learning to be able to award you certification as a DIR practitioner once you complete the didactic part of the course and the practicum part of that course, which happens in the summer. and you apply directly to the International Council on Development and Learning, also known as ICDL. You pay them a very nominal fee. I want to say it's $90, and then you receive the certification as a DIR level 201 practitioner. And you can put that on your resume and use DIR in your practice going forward. In the summer, you have the practicum experience that goes along with this course. It's that direct hands-on piece, where again, we ask you to find a family to work with and you practice your DIR techniques working with the family. Or I guess if you start in the spring, in the summer, that actually happens in the spring. My brain is still kind of in our typical program plan mode. The following semester, you have a course in parent and child relationship assessment, where you learn a few different tools, really, again, work on honing your interview and observation skills. And then you'll have your capstone seminar in your final year of the program, where you will design a project to bring infant and early childhood mental health lens to the work that you're doing. You'll implement that project and then measure the efficacy of that project, all while participating in a highly reflective seminar. And then also in your final year, you have an intensive practice course where you're learning interventions and evidence-based models to use to support infants and young children in their relationships with their families. So that in a nutshell is your course plan for the certificate program. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Amy. So this just outlines what your hands-on experience with infants, young children, and families will be. So it's that infant observation piece. It's the DIR spring semester where you are practicing the techniques that you learned in the didactic portion of the class. And then for many of you, your capstone project will be a hands-on experience with infants, young children, and families. Although for some of you who work in a less direct service type of environment, your capstone project may not be direct service, but will certainly be applicable to bringing an infant mental health lens to your work. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this tells you a little bit more about that capstone project. We consider it your culminating experience of the program, where you're taking the theory and the practice principles that you've learned throughout your time in the program and applying them to the work that you do. You know, and this again is where our students come from a variety of different backgrounds and fields. And so that capstone project, you're designing in a way that fits with the environment in which you work, and bringing an infant mental health lens that supports the children and families that are served by you and your program, or indirectly through like policy work or administration. It's all about bringing an infant mental health lens into the workplace. The other thing that's really cool, and especially for Illinois residents, is that we have partnered with the Illinois Association for Infant Mental Health to give you the opportunity to obtain the Infant Mental Health Association credential in infant and early childhood mental health, along with your certificate in infant and early childhood mental health. And I know that's a lot to think about, credential and certificate. But we feel like this is an amazing opportunity to combine those two very important aspects of doing this work, particularly for Illinois residents, because Illinois has our own credential in infant and early childhood mental health, and give you the opportunity to do that simultaneously. And I'm imagining you'll have a lot of questions about that, and we'll have time for questions at the end. So we have several additional certifications that you can get as part of this program. I mentioned the level 201 certificate in DIR. As part of the program, you will also receive level 1 FAN training. Many of you have probably heard of the FAN. It stands for Facilitating Attuned Interactions. The FAN was actually created here at Erikson Institute as part of our Fussy Baby Network, and we want to share that amazing tool with you that you can use in your work. You will also have the opportunity to participate in the clinical training on the DC 0 to 5, the diagnostic classification system for developmental and mental health disorders in infants and young children up through 5 years old. and you'll have the certification for that. You have the opportunity to get the Illinois credential. And for those of you who may be joining us from out of state, if you come from a state that works with the Alliance for the Advancement of Infant Mental Health, we have worked with the Alliance to have all of our coursework crosswalked with their competencies, so that when you go to apply for the endorsement through the Alliance for Infant Mental Health, you will have met all of the educational requirements for the first two classifications of endorsement through the Alliance, and just need a couple extra ongoing professional development opportunities to qualify for the practitioner level and the mentor level endorsement through the Alliance. Okay, we can go to the next one. So one of the things that I think is very cool about this program is we work on this cohort model. So the folks that you start the program with are the people that you will be in classes with throughout the program. And that gives you the opportunity to create relationships and develop a close connection with the people that are in your cohort, to hear from them about their varied backgrounds and disciplines, and learn from each other to bring this unique perspective to your work. Infant mental health is a growing field, and we know that, it's expanding exponentially, but there's still a lot of folks out there who go, infant, what? Wait, babies have mental health? And so you can be with a group of like-minded people who get what is infant mental health and really share your passion for working from an infant mental health lens. And for a lot of us, that's a really exciting part of doing this work in the program. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So here's some deadlines about what this is going to look like. I know a lot of you are really excited about applying for the advanced grant, the scholarship from the governor's office, and we very much encourage you to do that. The submission deadline for your application to be considered for the advanced grant is April 14th. We will be reviewing all applications by that date. And then we'll be sending out notifications whether you've been accepted into the program and whether you have received the advanced grant. If you are still interested in applying, if you are from out of state and want to apply, you can do that up through April 21st. And then May 12th, our summer classes will begin. We're going to hold orientation for our summer cohort start on May the 2nd. So you can mark your calendars for that as well. Then we will be accepting applications again for the next cohort for September. And the deadline for that is July 14th. And then you'll see again, to complete your application, if you're applying from out of state without the advanced grant, that deadline is August 4th, and classes will begin for the fall semester on September 1st. One thing that's a little bit different for our online programs is the week starts on Friday. So September 1st and May 12th, you'll see our Fridays. We open up the online modules on a Friday so that you have the weekend to work on it if that works for you and your schedule. Because I would say 98% of the students in our program work full-time while they're attending the program. It is doable. I will tell you the program is academically rigorous. We have expectations that you are doing readings outside of class. There are assignments that require a great deal of time and energy and commitment to complete. We do both individual assignments and group assignments. And our expectation is if you are part of the program that you are setting aside a few hours every week to watch the modules, to interact with the online content, to do the readings, and to prepare your assignments. So I want you to know going in that if you decide to apply for this, it is a significant commitment of time, but I promise you it's worth it. Okay, so this will tell you how to get some help and assistance if you need it with your applications, and you can contact our admissions office, and I'm going to turn it over to Amy for this one.
Thanks, Sarah. So this really concludes the bulk of what we wanted to tell you about, and now we're going to open it up to questions that you have for us. If you want to put it in chat, or if you want to raise your hand and we'll take times to unmute, we can handle it that way as well. And don't be shy. Go ahead and ask questions.
Hi. So if you apply for the program for with the advanced grant for the summer, you would only be considered for the summer?
That's a good question. My guess is that at this point, summer applications, if we don't have enough for fall and you didn't get in the summer, we would put you into the pool of fall applicants as well. The way the applications are coming in, I think that we're going to have a lot of applications for both. So most likely you'll be primarily considered for the semester that you apply for.
Thank you.
It looks like we have a couple of questions in the chat. Is there a date we could expect to hear if we are accepted? Yeah, we are hoping to have all of those acceptance decisions by the Friday after, which I don't have my phone on me to look quick at my calendar. So applications are due the 14th. By a week after that, so like the 21st, you should expect to hear an admission decision. Let's see. Oh, the questions are coming in fast and furious. I want to make sure I don't miss any. 3 years of experience in October. No, that would not exclude you. A month or two difference would definitely not exclude you. Thanks. Is there an age limit for adults returning to school? Not at all. I have folks in my classes who are as old as I am, and frankly, that is old. So, I love folks who are, making mid-career or even late career additions to their knowledge base. And yeah, we would love to see you apply if you've been working in the field for quite some time. Do you have to be currently working in early childhood? No, this is a really good question. A lot of our students come from a clinical background. They're a psychologist, they're a social worker, they're a marriage and family therapist, an LCPC. And they've been working with older kids, but they're really wanting to begin to see younger children, to do infant mental health work. And so those folks are very much considered in the program. I would say a good third to half of our students come from that background where they've been doing clinical work and just really want to enhance their knowledge of early childhood development and issues around infancy and early childhood so that they can enhance their practice and begin seeing younger children. What days of the week are the classes? We just made this big shift at Erikson away from Monday classes because there are so many Monday holidays. It was really interfering. So all classes will be held Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. They're all held in the evening, and classes vary in length from an hour to 3 hours, depending on which course it is and the topic and the information that's to be covered. If you already have an early childhood mental health consultant, how does this program help you? I did fan training and you did the consultation orientation, I'm assuming, Winetta. Actually, some of the content will be very similar because I wrote some of the content for the orientation, and it's very close to a couple of the courses, a couple of the individual modules in the foundations course. But we will go much more in depth about theory and about practice principles than what you would get in the consultation orientation. The orientation is amazing and a wonderful learning opportunity. And if that worked for you and you enjoyed that content, then the certificate program will bring you a tremendous amount of increased knowledge and depth around some of those similar topics. You apply for the grant on Erikson's website. And maybe Amy can put that in the chat so you can have that. Pretty much anytime, if you go to erikson.edu, there's lots of buttons that you can click to get an application. When you get to the application site, you'll need to indicate that you're applying for the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Certificate Program. And there will be a question there, would you like to apply for the advanced grant? And you click yes. Good question, Diana. What are some of the challenges students face in the program? I would say one is time. And I want to be really candid about that. A lot of our students, as I mentioned, almost all of them work full time. A lot of them have children. And, it's a time crunch when you have young kids and you're working. We have lots of students that make it work. We've had several students who have had babies while they are in the program, and they come back and finish after their maternity leave is done. And we work with them to be able to do that. But I would say what I hear from the students primarily is that they have to be really intentional about managing their time so that they have enough time to do the readings, they have enough time to do their assignments, to get as much as possible out of the program. Sometimes students don't do all the readings, or they, might miss a module or two, but then they really miss out on that content. And most of our students come to the program because they're really looking to deepen their practice with this infant mental health lens, and they want to be able to engage with that content. The other things I'd say, technical glitches. We were working through Zoom and our online portal. Sometimes we have some technical issues, but we have a really helpful distance learning team and tech team that will support students if they're having technical issues. Could you say more about qualified individuals earning? Yes. Okay. So the Illinois Association for Infant Mental Health Credential has their own set of qualifications that they require in order to be able to participate in the cohort of students working toward earning the credential. So their requirements are, you must have a master's degree, which is different from our requirements. Ours is a minimum of a bachelor's degree. So that is a difference in requirements. You must have a master's. You have to have a minimum of 3 years post-master's experience. And you have to have received 60 hours of reflective supervision. Now, one of the things I didn't mention, but is really a vital part of this program, is we provide you some reflective supervision through the program. Every student in their first year gets 4 individual reflective supervision sessions that can be counted toward your requirement for the Illinois Association credential. And then in that second year, you have your group, but those don't count toward your credential requirement because it's happening simultaneously. But if you think that you want to do the Illinois Association credential, you can start getting your reflective supervision right away once you're in the program, and we can help you with finding a reflective supervisor if that's not something that your workplace offers you. Okay, does that answer that question? If not, put some more in the chat and I'll try and be a little bit more specific. Okay, we need to have a bachelor's degree of 3 years of experience to consider for the program and the grant. Yes, because you have to meet the minimum requirements to be considered for the program in order to be considered for the grant. Okay, the advanced grant is part of your admissions application. Be sure to select. Oh, that was from Amy. Thank you. Never mind. I didn't see that was from you. Is there a recording of this I can watch later too? I thought this was it. Oh, yes, we are recording this, and Amy's going to send out the recording link in the slides, right, Amy, afterwards? Yeah, so you'll get those. Okay, and then Amy put some more in here about the application. Okay, someone said, I'm working in the field already. Is this program still needed, or is it just an advancement of the knowledge I already have? I have a master's already. What I can tell you is that very few master's programs, more so now than ever, but still very few, provide an infant mental health lens in this work. Most of us who are infant mental health informed practitioners have gained that knowledge through programs like this, through ongoing professional development. What we offer, we find, is highly different from what most of us get in our master's program. My master's is, I have two, but my first one is in early childhood special ed. And when I was doing work in the early childhood field, I kept thinking, there's so much more I need to know about what's going on with this child. This can't just be a developmental issue. There's something in this relationship. So I went back and got a degree in clinical psychology. And even that, I kept thinking, there's more I'm missing. There's something more I need. And that's when I started pursuing infant and early childhood mental health. And I did a lot of my work through professional development and some coursework around infancy and early childhood. But I can tell you that with my master's program in clinical psych, and definitely my master's program in education, I did not get this kind of information about infant mental health. What we're focusing on is the early relationship, how the parents' own relationship history impacts their ability to be present and have a relationship with their child, looking at their attachment relationship. Some of you who came through Erikson's master's program may have some of that, but even in our highly infant mental health informed master's program, you're getting a much deeper dive into infant mental health in this program. Okay, can I apply now for fall, or do you only review? I am primarily focusing on summer applications. So if you apply now for fall, your application may sit in the queue for quite a while. You can go ahead and submit it, but I'm focusing primarily on reviewing summer ones currently. Okay, what other questions do folks have? Want to make sure we get to everything.
I'm sorry, I had one more question.
Oh, please don't be sorry. We're loving your questions.
I'm the one who asked about just now about the applying for fall now or not. You had mentioned there's 20 spots for summer and 20 spots for fall.
Mm-hmm.
If I really want a spot, but summer is just not, I've got 2 kids graduating high school and I'm like, how would I manage all of this plus that madness?
Understandable.
Kind of looking at it realistically. But I also don't want to miss out on the opportunity because of timing.
Sure.
So what would your advice be?
Go ahead and submit your application. It can never hurt to submit it. Just know that you probably won't hear for a while.
Okay. So if I applied for summer and got accepted, but went, whoa, can't do it. Can I defer to fall? Does that work? Or do you have numbers in mind?
We really prefer that people not do that. And I'm actually really glad you brought that up. One of the things that we are very much looking for is people who are ready to go for summer and who are very much committed to engaging with the program and staying the course. These scholarships are like gold. We are so excited to have them, and we want the people who get them to absolutely get the most out of them. And so when we award one, our hope is very much that whoever is awarded that scholarship will take it and will stick with the program all the way through. And that's something that I'm going to be looking for is, people who say, I am very committed to doing this work and to applying now and being ready to go. So if you think, and it's understandable, you got 2 kids graduating from high school, that's a lot. It's good that you're aware that summer probably isn't going to work for you. And so go ahead and apply for the fall and, do it when you feel like it's a good match for you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like we have if you start in summer, when does the term end? So we go summer, fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, fall. It would be November of 2024. Is that right? Yeah, it's 5 semesters later. I think it's 2024.
Sorry, Sarah. I think that they're talking a little bit about the breaks as well. So in between the semesters.
Oh, each semester is 12 weeks long. So the summer semester begins May 12th and ends like the first week of August. And then there's a break until September 1st. The fall semester begins September 1st, goes 12 weeks, which I believe takes us to the week of Thanksgiving. And then that's the longest break in between the fall and spring semester. Spring usually starts up the second week of January. Does that answer the question? And then,
So I have a question. I know we were talking about the advanced grant, but how much is the program now? Exactly.
the program itself is 18 credit hours. It's $775 a credit hour. So it ends up being just shy of $14,000. Now, for those who, those of you who are not Illinois residents, you can apply for the Harris Scholarship, which covers 25%, which puts the student out of pocket cost around $10,000. You can also apply for that Leadership Scholarship, which covers about 20% of that. And if you qualify, you can apply for the Affordability Scholarship, and those can be stacked. So you can get all 3 of those scholarships if you qualify for them, which brings the cost down significantly. And then Tasha, can you tell them about the information about the amount of actual class time? I'm not sure what you mean, Tasha. Like how many classes there are?
Yeah, I think we spoke earlier and it was great information to know. I think it was 8. Oh, sorry. That it was 8 actual asynchronous, I think.
Oh, it
Classes
varies for every class. So for some classes, you'll have only 4 synchronous sessions. For some classes, you'll have 12. It's really variable course to course.
Typically, what time in the evenings do classes start?
The earliest we start is 5. Some will start at 6. And we've had students from multiple different time zones. This year, I have a student in Africa. She gets up in the middle of the night. She wakes up at 1 o'clock in the morning to come to her synchronous classes. She's very dedicated. I have a student right now from Alaska. It's 3 hours earlier there than it is here, and she makes it work. So the time zone thing, if students want to make it work, they absolutely have been able to do that. And I'm kind of in awe of their dedication, that also they bring so much richness, telling us about the cultures and the experiences of where they live. We had a student from Italy last year. It's amazing to have these international students.
For the first courses over the summer, how often do those typically meet?
Let's see, for Foundations of Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health, that has 4 synchronous meetings over the summer. And Infant Observation also has 4 synchronous meetings. That course just meets 1 time a month.
Okay.
So that's probably what you were talking about, Tasha, with the 8. I got you now. Sorry, it just wasn't tracking with exactly what you were saying, but yeah, 8 classes over the course of the summer. And while we're here, I want to introduce Linda Horwitz, who is our lead infant observation instructor. So say hi, Linda. And Linda and I very much partner in running and managing this program, and she will be a contact person for you as well.
It's amazing to see so many people here that are excited. Sarah and I are always so excited about this. So we'll carry on the passion with you. Thanks for being here.
All right. If you have more questions, feel free to stay on. We'll stay on as long as you have questions. If you've gotten your questions answered and you need to go, we understand that as well.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, this is all such great information. So thank you everyone for joining us. Sarah mentioned, if you have additional questions, please feel free to stay on. If you want to carry on with your evening, that's okay as well. If you're looking out towards some dinner and whatnot, thank you again for joining. We will be sharing the recording as well as the slides. So be on the lookout for an email. And obviously you can always reach out to us if you have additional questions after today. You know, there's always like, oh, I forgot to ask that one question. So thank you again for spending the past hour or so with us.
It's so nice to see you all. I wish we could give every single one of you a scholarship and bring you all in. We will be very happy to have some of you join us. And remember, there's multiple ways to join us. You know, if you don't get the advanced grant, there's still some really generous scholarship opportunities to help that really cover a lot of the cost of the program.
Thank you.
About how many hours a week do you expect students to spend on coursework?
There's this big joke at Erikson that the answer to every question is, it depends. And this is one of those things. You know, it depends on you and your study style. Like, I have students who just spend hours dissecting every article, making notes, highlighting, you know, reading it over and over and over again because it's just so rich and they love it. And then I have students who can do it in 3 or 4 hours. You know, it's really dependent on you. It's dependent on, you know, what really resonates with you in the subject matter. There may be a week where you're like, I have to dig really deep in this particular topic, and you spend 8 hours, when in an average week you spend 3 or 4. Typically, to go through the modules, it's a minimum of 2. Between watching the narrated PowerPoint, watching the videos that are part of the module, and then I will say in my modules, I put a lot of resources. Those are not required, but they're there for your enhancement if you so choose. So, you know, if you engage with all of the resources, that takes a little bit more time. But the narrated PowerPoints go anywhere from like half an hour to 45 minutes. And a lot of times, you know, I say take a break in the middle because it's kind of a long time to sit and listen to a PowerPoint. But 45 minutes or so for that. And then, you know, 45-ish, depending on the week, minutes of video, and then your readings.
Do classes typically run, you said they start on Friday, so is it from Friday to Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the modules open on Friday, so you can get access to the online materials beginning on a Friday. And the modules stay open once they've opened. It's not like, oh, if you don't do it by the next Friday, you lose your chance or anything. But we really highly recommend staying on top of things, because once you get behind, it's easy to really get behind. And there will be deadlines to engage in the online discussion board. You know, like for my classes, class opens on Friday. I want your first discussion post by Tuesday at midnight. I want you to go back in on Wednesday or Thursday, read what your cohort members have posted, reply to them, and engage back with them by Thursday at midnight so that you're ready to start the new module on Friday.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Sure. Other questions folks have? We're happy to answer. Don't be shy. Oh, here's one in the chat. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff in the chat that I missed. Okay. Oh, lots of thank yous.
Some of the questions are some that have come up before, but can always use as a reminder.
If you apply for summer and it fills up, will your application be considered for fall? If we don't have enough folks who have applied for fall, then yes. But again, my guess is that it's going to be really full based on the number of applications I already have and the interest that we had here tonight. So I would say, you know, really think carefully about which semester works for you and apply for that one.
Just for a specific thing here as it relates, if one of the things that we work with you as admissions is to make sure that we're in contact, answering questions and helping along the way as you might have more questions. And part of this will be working with you once any of the admit decisions or the grant decisions are made so that we can work with you. And yes, there's an opportunity if you don't if you don't earn a grant in the summer and you want to apply for the fall, we can work with you to transition that same application into the fall. You don't have to do it a second time.
That's a really good point, Amy. Thank you.
Well, it looks like we've grown a little silent. Thank you once again for all your time. If you do have questions, you can reach out to us at admission@erikson.edu and look for that email with the recording and the slides, as well as our contact information. Appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much.
Mary Lehman, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for hosting this tonight.
Thank you all for being here. It was great to have you. Tasha, thank you. I should have introduced you, Tasha. I apologize.